Really nice, peaceful camp, at least till the cows came by. So happily, no mouse issues last night. You never know. Sometimes with busy looking campsites like this, people leave food and trash out, and so you end up with a lot of rodents that can raid the area. Didn't have any issue with that. Did, however, have multiple times last night where rather large herds of cows came by. It's in a wash, so when they're passing by, they could obviously tell I was human and they were sticking to the far side. But it woke me up, and a couple of times I did look out just to make sure I wasn't about to be stampeded or something. From here on out, I no longer have far out. I have left the AZT behind, but I do have a GPX. Basically, there's a map set you can purchase from the guy that came up with the Grand Enchantment Trail, and I bought that. And then there is also a guidebook of sorts on his webpage. The guidebook, I could maybe add a little bit of notes as far as what would be useful and not, but it tends to be very eloquent and describe very intensely the sections, while making it harder to look up basics like XYZ miles to this turn, stuff like that. More importantly, however, he did an awesome job assembling a water guide. So there are multi-year reports, so I know things like this are generally running, and there are even updates from this year, so I know that this water is going to disappear pretty quick. I know that in like 6-8 miles, something like that, I go by a college when I'm crossing the road, and then on this alternate I'm going to be on, I hear there are stock tanks. I've still been checking for that canyon permit, but so far no luck. So the way it looks like it works is instead of allowing 10 people a day to come in from either side or whatever, they count the total number of people in the wilderness. So there are 50 people that are allowed in there total, coming in from either side, however many nights, etc., etc. Somebody leaves, another person can come in. What I'm suspecting, though, is that people are not canceling, because generally any sort of permit like this, I mean, people go into the lottery for like John Muir Trail or Whitney, and a huge number of people cancel on those. I have actually done the John Muir Trail multiple times just going to Yosemite, where they have a check-in process. So if you don't pick up your permit by 10:30, it becomes available for somebody else to grab it and just go. Really effective going midweek that way. Here, we have seen one permit pop up, and it was a couple of days ago. I couldn't make it. Honestly, I tend to dislike the hassle of having to, schedule around a permit and things. This is why on the CDT, I was actually very, very happy to make it out of Glacier and make it out of Yellowstone. So I'm all good with the alternate. Sounds like there's water. Sounds like I'll get a view of the canyon from above. And it just adds like 12 miles. Nice enough camp, though I did have a hell of a time with bugs last night. So for the last week or so, crane flies have been really bad. I basically have to button up the tent and cook out of the bottom of the zipper. Otherwise, I end up with a ton of them just flapping all over in the tent. But last night, it was all these like baby grasshoppers and tiny gnats and things. I've been wearing pants the last couple of days, and I've really enjoyed the feeling of being covered from the sun. But due to the chafing issues I've kind of been fighting here, I decided to switch back to what I know works and see if that helps. Unfortunately, that means my pants now are riding in my pack on my shoulders. But, oh well. This is why I don't carry a tiny pack, just so I have flexibility for things like this. I have about 6 more miles till I'll hit a college, which apparently lets us fill water. May have some bathrooms. And then that will also be my last opportunity to check to see if I just got lucky and a permit for that canyon opened up. Otherwise, the alternate is about 30 miles. So, 2 days for that, plus the setup and getting into Klondike on the other side. And then east of that is where I get into one of the more challenging sections. And welcome to the mighty San Pedro. Another one of these rivers where they say it's probably best not to drink out of it. Well, I came out on the highway and there is actually permits available, but only for today. Currently debating what to do. So this was my morning water stop, but I think I can stretch. If I'm gonna go through the canyon, I have to make it to a certain point. And there are water sources I can push to. And just as I was starting to get concerned about water, just gotta figure out a collectible spot. So I was able to collect water, and I'm reasonably safe from bees here. It is in the 90s somewhere. I think I'm probably gonna hold here because trying to make it to the next water source puts me past the split, and I'm still not 100% sure where I'm going there. With the shade and water, I can hang out here till it cools and then push on. It's been nice enough in the shade, but the sun is still really intense. It does look like I'm about to get a cloud layer, so I'm hoping I can get off a little earlier again. It's only 2:45 and I am really sick of sitting still. Okay, 3 o'clock, close enough. A little bit of route finding, but this is fun. Okay, currently officially past the Aravaipa turnoff, so I'm committed to this northern route. Nothing else on permits has cropped up. So I was able to secure a one-day permit, but basically I was maybe 12 miles, 10 miles-ish, too far back to make it through in a single day, even assuming that I was going to be able to move quickly. And also, since it was hot today, I knew I was going to have to take a break in the middle. So I could have tried to just push through, but I don't feel right violating permits that are there for good reasons to prevent people from overusing an area. There is one more bypass. I don't have any beta on it. Per Dennis, it runs by a couple of ranches, so it's possible it's private. But theoretically, I could camp in another 6 miles or so. And then if something appears in the morning like today, just book it for the canyon and through. Might add a couple of more miles of reroute, but it does save me 12 miles versus being up here. Sounds like water sources are mostly going to be dirt stock tanks like this. Okay, so it looks like that's likely my next two water sources at 5.9 and 6.8 from the junction. So that further one is actually next to a road. We're not sure if it is a public road or what, that gets down to Aravaipa, which I'm guessing that's what we're looking at here. So if I wake up in the morning and there is a permit available, that is still an option. Otherwise, I just stick to the high country. Evening cow water. This kind of feels like a crime against my filter, but oh well, what you gonna do? Cow country. Okay, got my cow water. Filter is flowing far less than it was just this morning, but oh well. Now I'm basically just looking for a spot away from the cow tank because there were cows around that where I can set up for the night. So I've been looking for a dirt patch, but they all seem covered in ants. Everything else is rock and cactus. Okay, this is gonna work. Drinking cow water and sleeping in cow fields. It's enough to make me reminisce on the CDT. Home sweet home.